In this project, I am focusing on foster care child abuse. My morals have led me to believe if we as a society create a platform to support children in abuseful situations, regulate household checks, and prioritize the punishment of child abuse, we can all make a change in the amount of mistreated children. According to the Child Welfare Act, the definition of child abuse is the physical or mental injury, sexual abuse, or exploitation, negligent treatment, or maltreatment of a child under the age of 18 by a person who is responsible for the child's welfare and under circumstances which indicate that a child's health or welfare is being harmed or threatened. From the definition, I would like to consider the possibilities in which a child's welfare can be threatened. Some dynamics of child abuse are lack of attention. Attention is a craving that every individual in the world needs in order to sustain life. Whether a foster parent is meaning to neglect their child or not, parents usually forget to show affection to their children, leaving the foster child to be disconnected. Behavior change is another dynamic as well. Behavior change can create mental and physical challenges due to family life. Mental challenges can drive a child to feel that they are not alone in this Mental challenges can drive a child to feel that they are alone in this big world, which can lead towards suicidal or depressive states of mind. This drive of mental difficulties often lead young foster kids to develop bad habits. Some can be like skipping school, starting a fight, or participating in harmful substances. As stated before, the foster care system oftentimes are poor detectives into the home lives of abused children. Stats vary, but studies suggest that only about 12% to 30% of child sexual assault cases are reported to authorities. But looking at a wider view, not only focusing on sexual abuse, overall U.S. abuse stats say for every one report, 2 more go unreported. That would mean millions abused annually. In addition to that, 61,000 reports of child protective services say that there are 6 per minute. And of 1.5 million runaways, 85% are fleeing some sort of abuse. While the limited data of statistics are available about foster care, it is shocking. And even though that the Child Welfare Services has a system and requirements in place for monitoring foster care, the safeguards don't always catch everything. And due to such limited data, it is essential to be able to recognize the signs of child abuse, even though it may not be easy. It's also important to remember that abuse is never the victim's fault. Physical signs may be unexplained bodily harm, antisocial behavior problems in school or fear of adults. Sexual signs may be drastic changes in appetite, overcompliance or aggression, fear of being alone with a certain family member or person. Emotional signs may be depression, hostility or stress, lack of concentration, or an eating disorder. And lastly, the signs of neglect are unsuitable clothing according to the weather, dirty or unbathed, extreme hunger, and apparent lack of supervision. Finally, I propose 3 situations. I propose a solution to create a platform for foster children to interact with each other, which would be beneficial for several reasons. As previously mentioned, attention is essential for neglected adolescents to have. Creating a platform, whether that is a website or an app or an anonymous forum, children would have the opportunity to share their horror stories and read how they aren't alone in their struggles, therefore promoting the concept of I am not alone. It would also be a safe haven in their dark worlds. Since most foster kids enter the system due to previous abuse in their biological homes, this platform would help to redefine abuse and offer a helpline. Another example of a situation help would be household checks regulated that would ensure several opportunities for a social worker to look into the lives of parental figures. That would just make sure to ensure that their well-being is safe. These housebound inspections would need to be done by an authoritative figure that has a sociological background. It is important that they have this background because it's important to understand how a child and parent's interactions are based on their societal backgrounds and kind of vice versa, how their background impacts their interactions. Finally, I propose that we as a society prioritize the punishment of child abuse. A summary of government laws of current punishment of child abuse can be said to have a max of 1 to 10 years, depending on the state, and a minimum of 6 to 12 months. And whether this is an assault or a different type of declaration of what the abuse is called kind of indicates how long said parent would be in jail for. And by prioritizing the enforcement of a child abuse punishment, foster kid parents would be held on a tighter leash, encouraging only good interactions between parent and child. From the previous information, we as a society know how crucial it is to help prevent foster care child abuse. From the shocking stats and signs of maltreatment, I proposed 3 ways to help every foster kid. And by we as a society, we can help make a difference in the abused lives of adolescent foster kids.